Guys, it's Fish and I'm back with another episode of Fish Teachers, and in this episode we're going to be covering the creatures of Subnautica. So I think I've covered how to play the game and how to get resources and how to find fragments pretty well, and I think one of the last things we want to look at before the update drops and the fragment changes, and we'll do another Fish Teachers once that happens and I'll show you where the wrecks are. I think we'll cover the life forms of Subnautica for those of you who haven't encountered some of them before, and just give you a little bit of a heads up as to what to expect from some of them, how to get rid of others, and just which ones will be useful to you. Alright guys, enough with that. I will head off and I will show you some of the creatures of Subnautica, starting with the ones that you can use for food. Alright guys, the first of the fish we're going to look at, or the edible fish, is the peeper. That's what they look like. Now they won't breed in these small aquariums, but you can store them in here. You'll need the bigger one if you want them to breed. You just need two of the same type and they'll slowly but surely create new versions of the peeper. So that's what they look like in your inventory. And so hopefully that helps. I'll bring you back when we've got the next fish. Alright guys, next fish, or edible fish on the agenda, is the boomerang. That's what they look like. They have a nasty row of teeth on the front, but don't worry, they're not going to hurt you. They're slow as well, so you can pick them up pretty easily. That's what they look like in your inventory. Very similar to what they look like out here. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I got the next fish. The next fish on the agenda is the eye. Yep, they're just a big giant floating eye. They're a bit rarer, a lot harder to find because they're in the more remote areas, but they're quite abundant out there and provide a pretty good source of food if you're really desperate, and you can eat them. So they look like in your inventory, eye, and they just provide you food, so that's another benefit. You don't lose any water by eating them just raw. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when we've got our next. Guys, next edible fish on the agenda is the air sacs. Now these guys have two uses. They can either be turned into food or cooked to make food, or they can be used to make small, well, is it filtered water? I think it's filtered water. So you'll get 20 water points back if you make these guys into a water. I don't know that that's really worth it, but that's for everyone to make a decision on them on their own based on the information. So that's the air sac. That's what they look like in your inventory. I'll bring you back when we've got our next fish. Next fish on the agenda is the Gary fish. Now, I'm not a big fan of these guys because they don't provide much nutrient value when you cook them up, and when you don't cook them up, they provide even less. So you need to collect a lot of these guys to make up for the fact that they're not a peeper. So if I can, I usually just go for the peeper because it's a lot easier. Okay, here's what they look like in your inventory. Not very exciting, and as you can see, 7 food is not very much compared to the 10 food that you get without the water loss of the eye. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when we've got our next fish. Next fish on the agenda, the whole fish. They look a little bit like a mini peeper with a hole through their tail. Pretty good source of food. 12 with a -5, but when you cook them up, that water loss obviously goes away, and you get a lot more food out of it. So these guys are really good if you can get them, but they're pretty rare. I haven't seen a whole lot of them before now, but I did collect quite a few of them in my latest playthrough. So they are out there and they are quite useful. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when we've got the next fish to show you. Fish to show you is the hoop fish. Not too bad on the nutrient side of things. As you can see, 7. Yeah, it's not too bad, but you don't lose much water. So not terrible compared to the Gary fish, which takes 5 and adds 7, something like that. So not too bad, but these guys are a bit rarer as well. You'll find them hanging out in some of the deeper kelp forests and things like that. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when we've got our next fish. Guys, next one on the agenda is hoverfish. For obvious reasons, they just look like they're floating around hovering. They look like they should be on the surface, like they're a bug or something that just skirts on the surface tension of the water. Not too bad on the nutrient value as well, and you'll find these guys a bit deeper away from the shallow areas. You won't find them in the safe shallows at all. Here's what they look like, and they're providing 13 with a 9 water loss, so you've got to be very, very careful on that water loss side of things. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when we've got the next specimen. Guys, next one, the Reginald, and these guys are a lot further out, but they are very, very plentiful when you start getting further out past the initial kelp forests. Very regal looking. I think that's why they call them the Reginald, because that's a little bit of a fancy name in my opinion. And not too bad on the resource department, plus 25 raw. So you cook these guys up, you're going to get a lot more than that, and so they're quite worth breeding in the bigger tanks if you can. Alright guys, bring you back when we've got the next specimen. Next one on the agenda is the spadefish. You'll find these guys normally out in the grassy plateaus, and pretty good source of food early on, because grassy plateaus is quite easy to get to even with just your fins, and you'll get 13 food from them. Once you've cooked them up, you'll get even more than that without the water loss. So well worth it in my opinion. Alright guys, bring you back when I've got the next fish to show you. That we're going to look at is the Crash. So this one's a bit of a weird one because he's not really out there all the time. You've got to get very, very close to him. So he's down in this little tunnel here. I have covered him in the past in some of my other videos, but I'm going to cover him again from the perspective of him being just a creature and not what you can actually get from him, which is under him in the crash powder. So you can see that he's just opened up his little home there. So if we get too close, he freaks out and he gets a little bit antsy. He'll open up so we can get a little bit closer, and he'll close up and calm down, and eventually he will come out and he will kill us. So I'm going to get a little bit closer and watch him just come crashing at us, and he'll blow up. Boom. And he almost killed us. No, he didn't. He barely touched us. So in the past, they've done a lot more damage than that. I think he might have missed us because he was not expecting us to just... I'm going to get really close. That's weird. He just went straight past me. It's almost like they've changed the AI on it, that it doesn't really know how to get at you. So this is interesting because it never used to be like this at all. You don't even take damage from them anymore if you're smart about it, and then you can get in and just get the crash powder from them. All right, guys. That's an interesting little fact that I didn't expect that we'd be finding out from just making the video here, but I'm really glad that we did. Alright guys, hopefully that's helped you, and if you're after crash powder, now you know that you just, they can't turn very quickly and they'll just explode, so they might not even hurt you. Alright guys, I'll see you when I've got the next creature. Guys, the next life form that you'll encounter in Subnautica is the Reefback. Now these guys are passive, they're just like a giant whale really, they don't want anything to do with you. You'll hear them do the little low frequency bellow from time to time, like that. But apart from that, that's really all they do. They're completely passive. I don't even know if you can kill them, but there's no reason to anyway. They don't provide you anything. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I've got something else to show you. Alright guys, so the next one that we need to worry about is the gasopod. Now, you want to be careful around these guys. They are neutral, but there is a downside to them, and I'll see if I can get them to do it. There we go. If you get too close, they'll release those spores, and those spores will explode in the water around you. And they do a bit of damage, not a huge amount, but enough that you don't want to get too close to them, and they don't really give you anything either, so there's no real point to doing anything with them. Just stay out of the way and leave them alone. Alright, let's get on with the next fish. Guys, the next creature on our agenda is the rabbit ray. Another passive, doesn't really do anything. Won't even attack you. If you tap on it, you do all kinds of stuff to it, it'll just get away from you. So you don't need to worry about those guys either. Just stay out of their way, and there's nothing they can do for you anyway, so there's no point even dealing with them. Alright guys, I'll come back with the next fish. Guys, here we have the next sample. It's the jelly ray. Now these guys are passive. They won't hurt you, but they'll get very curious if there's light around. So they want to check out light all the time. So long as you can handle that, these guys are not going to hurt you too bad. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I've got another fish to show you. Alright guys, the first of the fish that we're going to look at is the Shutterbug, or Shuttlebug, sorry. And this one is just a passive one, so you can't collect it, you can't pick it up. I'm clicking on it and it's doing nothing at all. So you can't use this to eat or anything like that. So if you see these guys, they don't really do anything, just leave them alone. They're not going to hurt you either, so you don't need to worry about them too much. Alright, moving on to the next fish. Guys, here we are with the Mesmer. No, we're not. I can't find it now. Alright guys, here we are with the Mesmer. Now, they don't like people that much, and they're going to try and... oh, no, got in the way. Thanks, jerk. You can fuck off now. Alright guys, here we are with the Mesmer. Now they are not a nice creature. They'll try and hypnotize you and then attack you for about 30 health. But other than that, they're not gonna come after you. They're pretty rare. I've only seen a couple of them, so you don't need to worry too much about encountering them on a very regular basis. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I've got another specimen to show you. See you soon. Here we have something known as the Shocker. Now, it looks nasty, but it's more of a defensive mechanism. So if you get too close, he will want to shock you, but overall, they're going to stay out of your way normally. So just stay away from them if you see them. It's pretty hard to miss them because they do this little light shock pulse all the way down their body. But if we get too close, he does get a little bit aggressive. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I've got something else to show you. I'll see you soon. Guys, next creature on the agenda is the cave crawler. I almost said sand crawler again. These guys don't hang out in caves, they hang out on the island. But they're not really that dangerous. As you can see, there's a pack of them. They are aggressive, but that jumping that they do, they don't lead you when they jump at you, so you can just walk right past them, and all the jumping they do doesn't even come into being a factor. You can see they're jumping at me now. They don't even know what they're doing. So, not a dangerous creature at all, but one to just be wary of, because if you stop moving, then suddenly they become dangerous. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I've got another animal to show you. See you soon. Alright guys, next fish on the agenda, the biter. Look at him. He's not cute. He will bite you. A good tactic that I like to use is to just run into them with my... Well, bring them over, and then you run into them with your... And there we go. Just run into them with your sea moth, and then they die, and then they rise, and then you don't have to worry about them anymore. These won't provide you any meat, they won't provide you any food, they'll just provide you annoyance. So... steer clear of them and kill them with your sea moth. If you're not in your sea moth, run. There's nothing else you can do. Alright guys, I'll be back with the next fish. Guys, the next fish on the agenda is the bleeder. Stay away from this guy because he'll latch on and then you'll just bleed until you can knock him off you, and that's not easy. You'll lose most of your health doing it, so steer clear of those guys. They're just nasty. You can't do anything else with them. Alright guys, I'll be back with the next fish. These little lovelies are known as stalkers, and as you can see, something's just popped out of his mouth. So if you're looking for how to get stalker teeth, that's how you do it. You either wait for them to bite a piece of metal, or you could even drop one near them, because occasionally they will just pick it up and go after it. These guys are nasty. I would not recommend going after them. Don't kill them either, because you need their teeth, and I honestly don't know if you get teeth for killing them, but I don't think you do. So you're better off just leaving them. You can't make enamelled glass without it, so you can't make a Cyclops without the stalker teeth. And you'll have an almost limitless supply if you just let these guys bite pieces of metal over and over and over again. But otherwise, steer clear. If you're on your own, do your best to duck and weave if they come after you, and head for the surface. They're not really that quick, and they don't like the surface, but they are aggressive, so steer clear. And we just see another tooth go down there, but I'm in no desperate need. Alright guys, I'll see you soon with the next fish. Here we have, there he is, very aggressive, the bone shark. Very, very aggressive. Can't do too much to my Seamoth though, and I find that if I run into them with my Seamoth, they then don't want a piece of me anymore and they'll just run away. See, off he goes, doesn't want it anymore. So if you're getting attacked by a lot of these guys, just run in them with Seamoth a little bit. You'll take a little bit of damage, but it's not a huge amount, and you can pretty easily repair it with your welder. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I've got something else to show you. See you soon. Alright guys, here we have our next animal. It is the sand shark. Now these guys just like to burrow in the sand and play around, and sometimes they like to attack you. As with the biters, just run into them with your Seamoth and they normally go away. They don't want to burrow me anymore. Maybe this one does. This one's crazy. I just didn't get a decent run up on it. I'm going to give him a little bit of a ram. And then he's gone. Then he'll run off. See? Easy as. Stay clear. If you're not in your Seamoth, get to your Seamoth. If you don't have a Seamoth, run. Alright guys, I'll bring you back with the next fish. Alright guys, this is the big one. The nasty of nasties. It's called the Reaper Leviathan, and I'm a little bit hesitant to even get a bit closer than even this. Because it can crush... Whoa, I lost it. It can crush a Seamoth with those big... it's after me, it's after me. I hope I can get away. Okay, I'm safe. I'm safe. Whew. Nope, still after me. This thing is nasty. It will crush a Seamoth. It will kill you. Oh, there we go. And that's a demonstration of its power. You can't get out. And it's gone invisible. I can't move. I can't move. What is going on? That's still attacking. It's destroyed my Seamoth. Because my Seamoth is now no longer there. I can just swim right through it. So this is a bug. But that is the nasty of nasties. Don't get anywhere near it. Because it'll kill your Seamoth, and then you won't have one anymore. Although I'll just make another one, but no big deal. Alright guys, I'll be back with the next fish. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully, you found this episode informative. Now, I have some bad news. Fish Teachers next week will not air. Unfortunately, I'll be away with work, and there's just no time to work on a Fish Teachers episode before I get away. So, unfortunately, there will be no Fish Teachers. It will be covered by another series that I'm starting, and hopefully, you'll all enjoy that. There's not a lot I can do about what work will do with me, so it's just something that I'm going to have to deal with and work through as best as I can and still bring you quality content. All right, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you've learned something, and if you have, please consider giving the video a thumbs up. It really helps the video, and it really helps the channel. Also, if you're new here, or if this is the first time you've come into fish gaming, please consider subscribing to the channel. It means that you will get fish gaming videos in your YouTube mailbox every single day, and you won't miss a single one. Alright, guys, I've been Fish. This has been Fish Teachers Subnautica, and I'll catch you next time.